Hi, I'm Greg Hunter, and this is the weekly news wrap-up for Friday, October 14th, 2011. What a week! A foiled assassination attempt of a Saudi ambassador in Washington, D.C., allegedly. Now, Iran says, listen, it's a big frame-up, it's out of hand, we didn't have anything to do with this is not true. The Saudis say, oh, yeah, it's true, and you guys should pay. The U.S. has already arrested people involved in this foiled assassination attempt, and the United States says it is an act of terrorism. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton says this is a dangerous escalation, and I couldn't agree with her more. If there is a counterattack to make Iran pay for this by Saudi Arabia or the U.S., so Saudi Arabia won't do anything unless the U.S. does something. But if there is an attack in the Persian Gulf, the Persian Gulf will seize up faster than an engine with no oil. They'll shut down the Straits of Hormuz, which is only about 30 miles wide at the narrowest point on the eastern end. Something like 40% of the world's oil through the Straits of Hormuz. Of course, Iran is to the north of that. They would shut that down without question. Our ships would be attacked. There'd be a full-scale knockdown, drag-out war if Iran is attacked. That said, the price of oil could skyrocket to $200 a barrel in a matter of days. Who knows where it would end up? 300, 400? Who knows? If there's a full-blown shooting war as a result of this, making somebody pay. And so it's something to look out for. It's the black swan of black swans. There's so many black swans in the market right now. It looks like a flock of crows. Speaking of the economy, the European Union is a mess. I mean, they are trying to hammer out a plan over there, and it is very, very dicey over there. I mean, the Prime Minister of Great Britain says that time is short and the situation is precarious. That's his words. Mervyn King, who is the Ben Bernanke counterpart, says this is the worst problem ever, the worst financial problem. That includes the Great Depression. A senior IMF advisor, Robert Shapiro, says it's critical. There's not a plan reached. He said that this week we can have a global financial meltdown. Whew, wow, what would that look like? Well, I think they'll print lots of money to try to stop that. But I think over in Europe, as opposed to the United States, the United States, we bailed out all the banks except for the community banks, but a lot of those 230 or 40 of them go under in the last 22 months. We bailed out, the big boys got plenty of bailout. Goldman, Bank of America, Citi, all these guys. Well, over in Europe, they're battling about how much of the bank's going to take a hit. And some of them may take such a big hit they'll just go under. The big problem is they're all bracing for a Greek default, and if it was just Greece, we could work through that problem, but it's not Greece. It's the rest of the pigs that may follow suit. That's Portugal, Ireland, Italy, Greece, of course, and Spain, the two big ones. Italy and Spain, they have $3.4 trillion in sour sovereign debt. $3.4 trillion in sour debt. That's 10 times the amount Greece could default on. And so this is a giant problem. Star banking analyst Meredith Whitney said this week that many European banks will fail. Those are her words. She also said, well, because, government can't, save them all. So they're going to have to pick winners and losers, according to her. And there are going to be some losers. And don't think if the world's number one trading zone in the world goes under, that it wouldn't suck down the rest of the global economy into a black hole, into an abyss. And don't think for 1 minute that U.S. banks are not at risk, even though Secretary Geithner said they're not really at risk. According to one government report, there's about more than $600 billion of actual risk between the European banks and U.S. banks and European Union. And also, Robert Shapiro, the IMF advisor, says, well, who knows what the risk is because of all the derivatives. I mean, the derivatives, just with 4 banks in the U.S., I talked about a week or so ago, just 4 U.S. banks is $235 trillion, and they have capital or assets of around $5 trillion. What is that, almost a 50-to-1 leverage? And U.S. banks wouldn't be at risk? Oh, yeah, they would. And things could get out of hand in a hurry. And that's the reason why gold will probably go up. Now, big thinkers like Jim Rickards, who I have a lot of respect for, says, gold's going to have higher highs and higher lows. And contrary to popular belief, the euro could go up in value and the dollar could go down in value. And the reason why is that the Chinese, they're going to pick between the U.S. or European Union, and the European Union is their biggest trading partner. And Rickard says the Chinese will probably help out the EU because they can't have, the euro going down. They want that big trading partner to buy their stuff so their economy stays afloat. That said, the Fed isn't going to sit idly by and do nothing. They'll probably be printing money too. And back to gold. Listen, there's going to be defaults, and there are going to be bailouts, and for sure there's going to be lots of money printing globally. If the problem with just two countries, Italy and Spain, is $3.4 trillion, there's going to be lots of money printing going on. Don't sell your precious metals. People are looking for protection, and gold and commodities and even the stock market could see a pretty serious run-up if they start printing like crazy to stave off a systemic global meltdown. Finally, Occupy Wall Street. I don't agree with every message that those folks have, but I do agree with those folks out there exercising their First Amendment rights. That is patriotic. They are basically protesting greed and corruption and crimes on a wide scale that went unpunished. I mean, we had 1,000 financial elites go to jail in the savings and loan crisis. This is 40 times bigger, and no big financial elites have gone to jail for what they did to cause the entire global economy to melt down. Oh, they got some guy, today sentenced to 11 years for insider trading. Big deal. Really. I mean, the biggest guy that's gone down so far is Bernie Madoff, but that's just a Ponzi scheme. He didn't cause the global economy to melt down. All the fraud with the mortgage fraud, the securities that they created with no paperwork, the foreclosure fraud where they're manufacturing the securities, the ratings, that they said these companies were rated at AAA. They didn't have any paperwork. I mean, millions of people are going to lose their homes, and nobody is going to jail. There's no investigations. There's no crime. Back to the Occupy Wall Street people. City of New York says, it's been 26 days and it's getting kind of nasty down there in the park they're camping out. So they're going to make people leave today, Friday, and they're going to clean the place up. And according to NYC officials, that the protest is going to be allowed to return. I hope they do, and I hope they keep sending the message that the world will not tolerate crime. And listen, one last thing. I'm not against corporate America. Listen, corporations do good things. They're not people. They employ people. There's a lot of corporations that do honest work. They sell a product. They make an honest profit. I have no problems with corporations making honest problems. I have a giant problem with banks and financial institutions basically committing criminal acts that destroy the world economy and cause millions of people to lose their homes, and they get bonused and they get off scot-free. Oh, and by the way, Jim Rickards says, the reason why they're not prosecuting these people is they're afraid if they start prosecuting them, they'll implode the financial system. Boy, is that scary. They're too big to fail and too big to prosecute, or you implode the world economy. Sad statement. That's the way I see it. I'm Greg Hunter. Thank you for supporting USAWatchdog.com.